Well, we have made it to the All-Star break, and somehow, despite all the problems, the Golden Knights are still in a very solid playoff position. Now, I would be talking about how I'm super excited to see Eichel in the All-Star game, and I would have loved to have talked about the skills competition last night, but alas, Eichel, and for that matter, no Golden Knights players are in Toronto this weekend for the All-Star game, so we've had to find a way to fill some time. I mean, working on your short game is a good use of your time. I decided to build stuff. And I was too negative on that road trip, so I got homework. Yeah, I think they're having a hard time filling the hours. Goodness knows I am. It's been really boring with the Golden Knights bye week and ultimately this All-Star break, with the next game the Golden Knights playing not being until February 6th. And we all know what that game's going to be if you were born under a rock, or you haven't heard the hockey chatter. The Oilers haven't lost in a month and a half, and they're taking that streak to Vegas against the team that knocked them out of the playoffs with the opportunity to tie the NHL record for most consecutive wins. And that game gets to be on a national network. So we all know what that game's going to sound like, especially if the Oilers start winning. Yeah. McDavid. But aside from some administrative stuff and the crazy scandals and crazy news drops that have been coming out of the NHL since I last talked to you guys, the whole Hockey Canada thing blew up. Apparently there's going to be an expansion team in Utah, and the NHL is going back to the Olympics in a couple years. Yay. What's going on with the Golden Knights? Because there have been a few things that have happened, and no, we haven't traded anyone yet. Well, let's talk about the subtractions. Pavel Dorofeyev out for an unknown amount of time after getting elbowed in the head in the Rangers game. Trouba, the elbower, got a 2-game suspension, which is well-deserved. If you're going to play that close to the edge and you decide to cross the line, you're going to get suspended, and that's just how it works. Michael Amadio came back for the last game of that road trip, and he played okay. I was really glad to see him. He spent like one practice in a non-contact jersey and was immediately thrown back into the game. Probably, and I'm certain it was because of the injury to Dorofeyev, who my money's on concussion, but I'm not a doctor, and unlike every other league, the NHL doesn't disclose injuries, as frustrating as that can be. Obviously, Adin Hill's back and played 2 very good games in the middle of that road trip, getting couple of solid starts and playing very well, and I was really happy to see him again. Another player coming off of IR is William Karlsson, which was good to see, especially heading into the All-Star break. This week off that the Golden Knights have, actually wound up being more like a week and a half off, is going to do just numbers on their ability to be healthy going forward, and that's a very, very good thing given that this is one of the most injured teams per capita in the entire league. Gary Lawless makes a point to tweet that out once every 2 days about how man games lost this and man salary cap lost that. And at the end of the day, you still got to play the games and you still have to play with the players that you have healthy at the time. But the fact that the Golden Knights have been able to hold fast in their position, reverse that skid that they had in December into the beginning of January, and hold out with what was essentially Mark Stone and the merry band of Henderson Silver Knights, it's been something to behold that they've actually been able to play as well as they have been, and it appears as if reinforcements are on the way soon. And I say that like Shea Theodore is still out for an indefinite amount of time, and Jack Eichel is out until the end of this month at the earliest. So while things can look all sunshine and rainbows, not having 2 of your best 3 players on the ice for the next month is a little bit of a tough pill to swallow, especially with a very dangerous stretch run. And after you kicked off the year with one of the easiest schedules, you have one of the hardest schedules to close it. And of course, your welcome back from break is the Oilers, who haven't lost since December. I'm just going to keep saying that because it's going to get said a lot between now and the 6th. And another piece of news, this is literally hot off the press. I saw a notification pop up on my phone, and I ran to my computer over there to check if it was right or not. The Golden Knights just put Braden Pahal on waivers. So we're going to see if he gets through waivers, the former HSK captain, and his name's on the Stanley Cup, just for the record. So he's got more cups than the entire Maple Leafs do. That's not the point here. The point is, he's heading down to the Silver Knights, assuming nobody claims him. And I only have one theory as to why, and that's because, one, Daniil Miramanov and his conditioning stint is about to end with the Henderson Silver Knights, who just absolutely eviscerated the Iowa Wild the other night. I think it was like 8-1, franchise record in goals. And Miramanov picked up a bunch of points. He's been operating at above a point per game with his 4 games in Henderson so far. And I'd imagine that, 6'5" right-handed defensemen don't grow on trees, and the ones that are in the NHL are getting paid some of the richest contracts for defensemen in the NHL. So being able to hold on to that, especially with Miromanov not being waiver exempt, if you had a choice between Pahal and Miromanov, I think it's a no-brainer, but this is just hot off the press, and so I have no idea if anything's going to come of this, or if this is even in response to Miromanov, or maybe you can just take back what I said just a minute ago about Shea Theodore not coming back anytime soon. Shows how much I know. You can tell this is a little bit more of a stream of consciousness video as opposed to my usual scripted and acted out stuff. I also have had a hard time filling the hours between Golden Knights hockey. I amazingly caught up on work. I watched the entire Daytona 24 last weekend, and I think I've made 3,000 putts on my new putting mat. So, like, just because every other character is having a hard time filling the hours doesn't mean that your friendly narrator also isn't having a hard time. My favorite thing to come out the last little bit, especially with the All-Star game starting, I think, now, like literally right now is the time of recording this. Like, I'm supposed to be watching it, but I'm doing this because I have no reason to watch it. The Golden Knights Twitter account put out like a 14-minute long 2-part video of all the things that the NHL was missing with Jack Eichel not being there due to injury, because we're not petty at all. Not petty at all as a social team. And I'm not including myself in that because I have no idea. But yeah, things have been kind of going nutso around the league. The Canucks decided that they are going to win the Stanley Cup this year and traded for Elias Lindholm, which we're going to see how that works. And the Jets have decided, no, we're going to win the Stanley Cup this year, and traded for Sean Monahan out of Montreal. So the challengers in the West are getting better, and the stock for the deadline is getting a little bit lower, which is fine because the Golden Knights don't have the salary cap to do anything with it anyway. We're still waiting on whether or not we're going to try and extend Jonathan Marchessault before the end of the season. But, you know, these are only things we're talking about because there's no hockey to talk about. And the other things that there are to talk about league-wide, I don't really want to talk about because I'd rather not talk about the Hockey Canada thing again. The facts of the matter is the Golden Knights are okay. They're not as great as they'd like to be. That skid in December and early January really hurt their positioning. And it looks like, unless the Oilers just don't lose for the rest of the season, it looks like the Canucks are going to win the division. And it looks like there's a better than 50-50 chance that the Oilers are going to finish second, which means the Golden Knights are going to be fighting for that third spot in the Pacific Division. And this is just me being pessimistic because I know that we are not a healthy organization. The Oilers are, and the Canucks are both very healthy. So they've got the advantage of health. And unless the Kings get that new coach bump, because out of the blue yesterday they fired their coach, looks like the Golden Knights are going to try and sit in that third spot. And, you know, home ice advantage doesn't mean anything. Just ask the Oilers last year. They had a bunch of home games. They only won 2 of them. So, like, at the end of the day, just getting into the dance is all that matters. And it looks like just over the halfway mark of the season, it looks like things are going to be okay. Now, I've done some thinking about what the Golden Knights need to go after at the trade deadline. And as I mentioned earlier, there's basically nothing they need to do except get healthy. Their deadline acquisitions will be getting Shea Theodore and Jack Eichel back in their lineup, and maybe some defensive help from, you know, a very tall right-handed 6-foot defenseman from Russia. But, you know, I'm going to get off the Miromanov hype train just because I'm a big fan of the way that he plays the game. Just one of these days. One of these days. But ultimately, that's really all there is with the, you know, the view from the All-Star game. And ultimately, the stretch run's going to be intense. The time between now and the trade deadline is when seasons are decided, because it's this time between now and the beginning of March when teams decide what they need or what they can get rid of. And I don't want the Golden Knights to do something irrational because of the position they're in. That is my only concern. And that's why I keep saying, trying to speak it into existence into the universe, this organization doesn't need to do anything. They are the exact same team that won the Stanley Cup minus 1 player. And so, like, why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's my 2 cents here. But ultimately, things are okay. We're going to see how things go, and I am so ready to get to February 8th so I can hear Dave Gosher and Shane Knighty again, because I don't want to deal with the McDavid-a-thon on Tuesday of this coming week. But with that being said, thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys sticking around. There was no hockey to talk about, so there was nothing to talk about. And now there's something to talk about because it's the All-Star weekend. But ultimately, this is going to be one heck of a stretch run. I'll be sure to keep up and keep in touch with you guys throughout this whole time. These next 30-something games are going to be intense. And maybe we're going to have a trade or 7 to break down here in a few weeks, because the rest of the division and the rest of the conference seems to be saying trade deadline. What trade deadline? But as always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.